When will you feel safe to go con again, Star Trek? Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live, I'm sitting here without my cards. How did I let that happen? Oh my. Okay, it's official. It's Trekland Tuesdays Live. With me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you right from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 for the clarity, sanity, and big picture in all things Star Trek. And boy, that's very true of today. Forget how I opened there. Hey, this is episode 206, my gosh. And I'm so glad you all are here with me today. Everybody keep populating into the chat there. We'll see you in just a second. I will get back to the chat in a minute after we take a midway break and we look at the Parrot analytics. So I think I have struck a nerve here, and it's only been in the last 24 hours. There's just so much here in fandom in Star Trek land, but across the country, everything is intersecting. Boy, we've seen that in the last year. Nothing can be parsed out on its own. All aspects of life all seem to be interwoven. We curse the COVID-19 virus, and yet it has shown us so much. And one of those things has been how even our hobbies and our interests, like it or not, are wrapped up with the culture around us, whether that's in how we all behave in a pandemic, or that's how we behave with transportation or large events, or you name it. How we want to keep each other safe and how we want to keep each other in business and not broke in a capitalist culture. Or whether we should have as much capitalism as we've gotten by with and what's been. I mean, yeah. All of that just here with little old Star Trek and our little old fandom. Well, hey, I may have touched a nerve. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. And of course, every month, the picture shifts. But thanks to good old Bill Smith over at Trek Geeks, who slammed me with 100 days until STLV meme the other day. Well, everybody, not just me. It got me thinking. We're time to recalibrate. It's time to think again. And I had meaning to take this poll. I only did it with half a Trekland. Maybe I will do the other half. I'll tell you about that. It's only been the last 24 hours. I've had some interesting results. But again, including you Twitchers, I will get back around to the chat here. I'm going to talk for a couple minutes here, get on my soapbox, and then we'll look at the Parrot ratings, and then I will get to the chat, okay? So everybody keep piling on. I know you got things on your mind. I know you'll probably go over and do a sidebar with somebody. So keep that up. I'm going to get on with this because I think this is something that really touches everybody. And it's been revealing just what little polling I did, because it's not scientific. Here's what I have my channel, my main channels, and I have my newsletter audience. Well, I didn't do a newsletter survey this time. So everybody, I'm going to do that this week. We're going to do a part 2 to this. When do you feel safe going to con again? Okay, well, just on the spur of the moment, I've had about, what do we had here? About 14 hours on my Twitter survey. Now, I had to double up. I originally would have said individual months, but here we go. So just on Twitter, which doesn't stop people from coming back with all. I had it basically broke down to, what's the earliest month you would feel comfortable going back to a live? That's with thousands. And I am assuming in all of this that we're talking about a baseline where whatever the local protocol is about size of crowds. And yeah, even though the vaccinations are rolling out, this is what so many people don't get. I still wear a mask. I don't want to be a carrier, because I know a chunk of the country in varying degrees haven't been vaccine shy. They're needle shy. There's the hardcore, by God, that's what I call the buy about anything. By God, fill in the blank. But there are a lot of people that want to. And yes, Trekland Tuesdays Live is global. Oh my God. India, of course, we've been reading about India. It's out of control there. But even a lot of more places that aren't grabbing the headlines. People in Japan have talked about Japan's notoriously. And I'm not just picking on Japan here. There are many countries around the world that are really lagging. So when I asked, going back to, there are folks that are coming in with 2022, 2023. That's just when they're thinking by the time they get it, it straggles in. It's interesting to look at these things by platform also. So here's two. Curve here is inverse bell curve. We've got 10% ready to go yesterday. One person said last October. June, July, the middle time is the lowest. And then we get into a string of the further into the future, the better. But that's Twitter. 55% say October, November, 29% August, September, 6% June, and 10% right now, today or yesterday. That's Twitter, and that's in the last 14 hours. Now, here's the thing, though. My Facebook Trekland that I put up just a few hours ago, it's a slightly different curve. And that gets into the differences in the platform. On Facebook, they've taken away the ability to do polls on your business page, which is stupid. I think of Trekland as my other half personal page. So the survey here has to be personal responses, which is very time consuming, but I did it. Thank you, everybody who hit me up on Trekland on Facebook and just kept it to a simple answer. Of course, people love to elaborate, but at least they gave me the upfront. And I offered this broken down by months over here. A lot of people just came up with not sure or depends, as opposed to Twitter, where the over half was for the fall. A lot more caution on Facebook. Here's how it broke down. I had 54 replies just in the last few hours. And again, this is self-selected on my Facebook. These are not scientific. The largest chunk was not sure or depends. These all assume that the local site will be doing all that's all been regulated by law by that time. Given that, I had 16 come back. I had 30% come back for not sure or depends. Now, not sure or depends wasn't an answer, wasn't an option on Twitter, but there we go. 24%, a quarter, said not till next year. And there were a lot of overseas folks in this. A lot of folks cannot get vaccine. A lot of folks are talking about making sure their kids and their family have it now that they're opening that up to 12-year-olds and over. So a lot of people are thinking about their kids and they're not going to travel. Kids as carriers as much as kids as victims, patients. So the next chunk was, again, with a global mix in on that. I'd love to filter these out by domestic U.S. and Asia, Europe, etc., but didn't have that capacity. The next block, 22% right now, yesterday, last, whatever. The next after that, 11% August, and then 4% September. Only had one vote, 2% for July, and then October, November, each got 2%. Nobody voted for June. But there you go. On Facebook, the biggest single category with the option was not sure at almost a third, and then a quarter said not till next year. That's an awful lot of caution mixed with 22%, a fifth that said right now, versus the right now was only 10% on Twitter. And I didn't have a not sure or depends ability here. The big bulk here was October, November, with August, September back from that. What does that say about Facebook and Twitter audiences, or my crowd on Twitter and Facebook? I have a lot of political folks on Twitter. Maybe they were just overlapping. They weren't Trek so much as they wanted to weigh in on a large event thing. I don't know. And then if you're on my list, and if you're not, why aren't you? Go to LarryNemecek.com and click on and get the freebie Bob Butler 8-minute live interview segment when you do that. But go over to Larry Nemecek's Trekland and get in, so that I'm going to send that out as a newsletter survey. I'm way behind on my newsletter. I know I say I won't spam you, but you deserve more than that to know what's going on, because a lot of stuff's about to blow sky high here in a good way, which is great. That's why I've been so nose the grindstone. But you know what? The year is moving along, and these things are starting to confront us. It's not February anymore. We're not permanently in the bunker. I laugh about this. Of course, a lot of people haven't been in the bunker all year, but most of fandom has been fairly cautious. That's why it's been fascinating to look at the responses. And you get personal responses in Twitter. You get personal responses in Facebook, too. Hey, it's public. Go look. You can see what different people are saying. And yeah, I know politics. I hate to say politics, because politics is when like people are taking like well-reasoned opposing views on things, on policy. And it's not like it's not this tribalism where people think about the color of their uniform before they think about what might be. They unburden themselves to actually accept new information and cogitate on it a little bit. But I'm not going to broad brush too much here. I'm just talking about what's showing up in some of these responses, much less just the basic answers. And hey, it's my tribe, so no one is outlandish here, but I do see it percolating in. It'll be interesting to compare the Instagram. It'll be interesting to compare second waves on all these things with the snapshot I did today versus anything I do follow up on Twitter or Facebook, on Trekland Facebook. Trekland Instagram, we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes back from the newsletter. But let's step back a second. We're all into our little con world. What we're talking about here is Vegas. We're talking, hey, Comic-Con San Diego, the big granddaddy, is gone as a live event. I have a panel I'll tell you about when I know more about it. I have a panel on the virtual big guys. A new interesting Trek adjacent subject matter that I hope everybody will be intrigued by too. I'm excited for it, but I'll let you know that it's about lawyers and space. But that's Comic-Con. They're coming back as a 2-day Thanksgiving weekend live small mini event because they've taken such a financial hit. Even though it's a nonprofit, they got to make money to put on that monster thing and underlie all the costs involved. Just because they're nonprofit does not mean that everything around downtown San Diego is not nonprofit. Always remember, guys, people who work at nonprofits have to make a profit. Have to make their salaries. The nonprofit means no one's taking the extra money home in their pocket. The extra money's going to the stated good. That said, San Diego Comic-Con's having this 2-day event Thanksgiving weekend, which some of you may go, oh, Thanksgiving weekend. Well, Lost Con, the old school lit con here in LA, is Thanksgiving weekend. I know Starbase Indy, shout out to Indy, is Thanksgiving weekend. Whatever everybody's doing this year, wipeouts last year. There's others around the country. I'm sure those are two I know about. So it's not the timing that's weird, but they did have a brouhaha with the agencies and the Hollywood studios here because they didn't, for all of that San Diego Comic-Con is known for the Hollywood comic intersection. They didn't check with the studios and all the agents before they set that up in a year when people are looking forward to having live in-person Thanksgiving weekends again and people travel. All the folks that were not from LA are going back where they're from. And that happens. That's the big migration every year. And people didn't get to do it last year. So I don't know how much this 2-day event will be for panels and such. If that's going to be on many people's radar, maybe it is. I don't know. But that's November. Nothing in July. So we've got Vegas in August. Other events are trickling in. I know FanX in Salt Lake is going to be September. I know that the LA Comic-Con, which is struggling in the shadow of everything else, is the first weekend in December. Delayed a couple of months into that. And you know what, guys and gals and peeps? I know that there are a lot of cons that have been going ahead all along. There have been cons happening. Comic-Cons, regional cons have been trying to make a go of it for the last 6 months, 8 months. I think I saw folks like in October, November last. People masking. It's just, is that up to you? There's a slice of fandom. And yes, people are trying to make money. And as we've said many times, as I said over a year ago, thank God for virtual. Virtual's going to save fandom, and it wound up saving the country. And yes, and the Zoom and other folks have gotten really rich off of it. Good on them. It preserved our sanity. Let us keep doing this. Well, we were doing this before the pandemic. Don't you forget it. Us and Portal 47. It's such a range. It's such a spectrum. Some folks were braving or not braving. They were just trundling along like they would anyway because they don't believe in the virus. So there they are at the cons fighting, putting a mask on, or maybe they did it. I don't know. But yes, there have been cons all year long. And a lot of them seem to have been in hotspot places. Dare I say it, across the South or maybe upper Midwest. But we're looking at this seriously now. Everybody more and more getting this back in the radar. Responsible people taking responsible actions. Painful, but they're doing it. But it all comes down to what's our comfort zone? What is your comfort zone? So it's going to be fascinating to watch this. And again, around the world, we're going to be talking about August and September and October and November. And yeah, folks around the country, around the world are going to be looking, I hope not cursing us too much because we're back there. For every person here that thumbs their nose at getting a vaccination, there are so many millions around the world that are begging for it. It's such a weird time that we're in, folks, and don't think that we're anywhere out of it yet. Please think globally. Please think about our fan brethren and sisterin around the world. much less around the country here, who are begging for it or who, bless their heart, don't know, do not know of what they speak or do. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. So I'm just making it personal. Where are you? This deserves more than 1 week. I know it's still been a slow week for Star Trek news, although people are doing yeoman's duty, Rand or otherwise, on finding Star Trek news, and it's out there. We get little bits. The shows are creeping along under protocol shooting, debating what to do with fandom, the merchandisers, the licensees, the Etsy folk. Everybody's creeping along. We've got other big fish to fry, like work and kids and school and surviving. It's all happening at once, but thank God we're all staying a little sane with our trek. And I want to thank you guys and gals for being here with me every Tuesday. And of course, all the other things I do under the Trekland umbrella. There's some more news coming down the pike, some more stuff happening. I'm just a day or so away from being able to talk about it, but we will. And this time next week, I'll have the details, but we're giving away a Lower Decks Season 1 DVD. Here on Tuesday. In fact, I'm going to give different ones away. Check out all of my umbrellas. I've got nothing up on the site yet because it's just coming down. But you want to stay tuned. LarryNemecek.com. You want to check out Trekland. You want to check out and be on that newsletter because we're going to be doing some giveaways on that. I got to thank everybody in my Patreon who's sticking with me too. Thank you all so much. We've actually been expanding. I hope we'll see what the audio is like today. I have no idea. I do all the right things. We'll see how it went. But meanwhile, I do want to thank our FTLers here. Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Blake Arledge, Justin Porteous, and Nathaniel Robinson. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. And a special big shout out to our live wires who get this and access to early years behind the scenes creatives interviews from Portal 47 that have been sitting in the archives for a while. Hey, that's Rusty Harrell, Halbjorn Gunn Johnson, Jalen Bullock, Gary Williams, Jared Cooper, Mr. Vestek, Robert McLean, and Kay Sushevsky. Thanks, all of you peeps. If you're intrigued about the Patreon thing, it's patreon.com/TreklandLive. Plus a lot of other creators. You can help all of them and me. I'm simple $5 and $10 for the 2 levels you heard me talk about. Appreciate it if you give that a try. Elsewhere today, it's Trekland Tuesdays, and a Trekland Tuesday means earlier today we had a new Trek Files, and it's a special one. Hey, my producer John Champion has been my go-to guest host. Guest. He's my guest as opposed to regular guests since the beginning of the show. But today, it's actually a topic devised for John. He actually auditioned, along with lots of other folks, for the role of Wesley Crusher as a kid back in 1987. We found the audition sides for Next Generation, including for Wesley. Will wound up with it, of course. We talk a little about the audition process and audition sides. We're going to do more with this. The crazy initial scenario that people read, not from any episode. Well, you have to listen to it. Go over to the Trek Files at Facebook or wherever you catch your pods. The paperwork, however, our actual files are only at Facebook, facebook.com/the Trek Files. We are coming down to the end of our 6th season. Can you believe it? Appreciate all the Trekophiles spelled with an F. Meanwhile, the whole back catalog is here too on Live Sport Live on Saturdays. You can be with us live wherever you're watching me now. 10 a.m. Saturday Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 UK time, 7 Central Europe. Dr. Ollie and Dr. Trek, one of us is a real doctor. We boldly go through uncertain times. It's a great mashup of Trek and a little mental health, but not in a scary way. Any of the lifers can tell you that. Join us if you can, or catch it later. It's right there on wherever you're watching now. A real quick shout out once again for very humble GoFundMe, medical GoFundMe, for Michael Braveheart, who was Ensign Martinez, Nurse Martinez, with Dr. Crusher for 6 years and 2 movies in the Enterprise D sick bay. He's got some medical issues and therapy and recovery. He's only got a $3,000 GoFundMe. It's over halfway there. I appreciate it. And he thanks everybody a special way when you jump into his GoFundMe. Like and subscribe my YouTube if you're watching there now, or even if you're not. It's just at Larry Nemecek, same as the Twitter. If you're on with me on Facebook, hey, that's my Instagram, Larry Nemecek's Trekland. And of course, portal47.net. Wow, we just had Wendy Noose last week, which was an awesome for almost 2 hours. I shouldn't have pushed it, but we did. Hey, join us if you like a mini-con all year long. Even when virtual's been here, we were doing this 6 years ago, a unique way to reach fans around the world with a lot more Star Trek than they had no idea about. Okay? Portal47.net. That's it, gang. Hey, just, for now, stay healthy out there. Do all the stuff, please. Stay woke. Check the sources when you're looking at something online, okay? Just truck well, everybody.